Welcome back, students, in the presentation of cell signaling and cell communication. This phosphorylation and dephosphorylation system acts as a molecular switch, turning activities on and off or up or down as required. Meaning whenever they require the dephosphorylation, it will occurs. Whenever they require the phosphorylation, means addition of the phosphate molecules, so it can be done into the cell. And whenever the requirement of dephosphorylation, means removal of phosphate molecule, so it happens accordingly. Now here we will see how the phosphorylation cascade will occur. So in this diagram you can see this is the inactive protein kinase 1, and it can be get converted into the active protein kinase 1. So it can be done by the relay molecule activates protein kinase. So this is the relay molecule which activates the protein kinase. So this is the signal molecule and it is the receptor. So the signal molecule, red color, will join with the receptor, and due to the activated relay molecule, this inactive protein kinase 1 get converted into the active protein kinase 1. Now this active protein kinase 1 transfer a phosphate from ATP. So this ATP can be transferred to an active molecule of protein kinase 2, thus activating this second kinase. So this inactive protein kinase 2 can be converted into the active protein kinase 2 with the help of this active protein kinase N, and here there is involvement of the ATP molecule which convert this into the active form. Again, this active kinase 2 phosphorylation then catalyzes the phosphate cascade phosphorylation, and activation occurs of protein kinase 3. So here again, with the help of this ATP, the phosphorylation will occur, that ATP will get converted into the ADP, and the inactive the protein kinase 3 get converted into the active protein kinase 3. And here you can see, and finally the active protein kinase 3, this will phosphorylate again, and protein kinase that brings this pink color brings about the cell's response. So finally from this point to this point, you can see at each time that inactive protein kinase will get converted into the active protein kinase 1, 2, 3, and finally this inactive protein kinase will get converted into the active protein, and finally this yellow color, this active protein is finally get involved or finally get result in the cellular response which is required by our cell. Cellular response is nothing but the secretion of hormone or secretion of enzymes or development of any proteins. So in this fashion the final process will occur. The small molecules and ions as a second messenger, the extracellular single molecule that binds to the receptor is pathway's first messenger. Second messenger are small non-protein water soluble molecules or ions that spread throughout a cell by diffusion. Second messenger participate in pathways initiated by G protein coupled receptors and R tyrosine kinase receptors. Cyclic AMP and calcium ions are common second messengers, which we'll see in the next slides. Cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP is one of the most widely used second messenger. Cyclic AMP is made from ATP by adenylyl cyclase. Adenylyl cyclase, an enzyme in the plasma membrane, which converts ATP to cyclic AMP in response to the extracellular signals. Now in this diagram you can see this, how the cyclic AMP is made from the ATP. In the first process, that ATP with the help of the enzyme adenylyl cyclase, this whole ATP will get converted into the cyclic AMP. and this cyclic AMP again can be transferred with the help of this phosphodiesterase enzyme. This phosphodiesterase enzyme along with the removal of H2 molecule which convert that cyclic AMP again back towards into the AMP. So in this fashion, this process is continuously going on in your body. Whenever the requirement of AMP, and AMP will be produced, and when there is a cross transmission of that AMP to the cyclic AMP, so it occurs in our body constantly. Many signal molecules trigger formation of cyclic AMP. Other components of cyclic AMP pathways are G-protein coupled receptors and protein kinases. Cyclic AMP usually activates protein kinase A, which phosphorylates various other proteins. Further regulation of cell metabolism is provided by G-protein system that inhibits adenylyl cyclase. Now in this figure again you can see how the G-protein coupled receptors are involved into the cellular response. In that, the red color first messenger, it is a signaling protein such as epinephrine. So that epinephrine will bind with this G-protein coupled receptors, this one. Epinephrine also one of the type of G-protein coupled receptor. G-protein coupled receptors are having several types. For example, epinephrine receptors or the dopamine receptors or 5-HT receptors except 5-HT3 or GABA B receptor. So these are the various types of G-protein coupled receptors. Out of them we will discuss regarding the epinephrine, means the adrenergic receptors. So in this, that first messenger will bind to the G-protein coupled receptor and the ATP involved in that G-protein coupled receptor, with the help of this adenylyl cyclase, this acts as a secondary messenger, and this ATP will get converted into the cyclic AMP, which acts as a second messenger, and this protein kinase A will responsible for the cellular responses. So in this fashion, what is our cellular response? Our cellular response on heart, for example, it will increase the heart rate or it will increase the force of contraction. It is the ultimate effect of this epinephrine on our heart. Or in case of blood sugar, it will try to increase the blood sugar along with the glucagon. So in this fashion, that epinephrine will work in our body. Calcium ions and inositol triphosphate, they will also act as a second messenger. Calcium is an important second messenger because cells can regulate its concentration. Inositol triphosphate and diacylglycerol, the pathway leads to release of calcium involved diacylglycerol or DAC and inositol triphosphate as a second messenger. It can trigger an increase in calcium in the cytosol. Now in this figure you will come to know how they will act as a second messenger. Now this is the extracellular fluid here, and this is another G-protein coupled receptors, and this is the signaling molecule. The signaling molecule will bind to this G-protein coupled receptor, and with the help of this GTP, guanine triphosphate, then there is role of this phospholipase C. So from here the signal molecule bind to the receptor and leading to activation of phospholipase C. This phospholipase C has been activated. The phospholipase C cleaves a plasma membrane phospholipid called PIP2 into DAG and IP3. So this phospholipase will break down into two pieces like PIP2 and DAG. This PIP2 is nothing but the phospholipase inositol diphosphate, and it is diacylglycerol, DAG. So this DAG function as a second messenger into other pathway. Now it will work as a second messenger, and this IP3, what it will do? IP3 quickly diffuses through the cytosol and binds to an IP3 gated calcium channel in the ER membrane and causing it to open. So this is endoplasmic reticulum, and from which the voltage gated calcium ions are triggered by this IP3. IP3 will work as a secondary messenger, and it will open these voltage gated ion channels, and this calcium will comes outside. It will release from these voltage gated channels from this endoplasmic reticulum. Calcium ions flow out the ER down their concentration gradient, raising the calcium ion levels in the cytosol, and due to which the calcium ion levels will be increased inside your cell. Maximum amount of calcium will be gathered here for its next function. The calcium ion activates the next protein in one or more signaling pathway, and its ultimate effect will be various proteins will be activated by this calcium, and the final response will be cellular response. Means its ultimate effect is cellular response. Definitely in case of the signal transmission, in case of synapse, so whatever the various neurotransmitters are embedded into the vesicles, so they can be released by this process. The calcium is responsible for the exocytosis of the typical neurotransmitters from that vesicles, and the seminal vesicle will be open, burst, and the respective neurotransmitters will be released from that. So in this fashion it is responsible for this cellular response. Responses. Cell signaling leads to cytoplasmic activities or transcription. Cytoplasmic and nuclear responses. Ultimately, a signal transduction pathway leads to the regulation of one or more cellular activities. The response may occur in the cytoplasm or may involve action in the nucleus. Many pathways regulate the activities of enzymes. So in many reactions, the enzyme activity can be done by the same process. The various enzymes which are involved into the release into our various organs. For example, the enzymes from the liver, enzymes from the pancreas, the various enzymes from our stomach, enzymes which are secreted into our duodenum, like that. Now cytoplasmic response. So here we can see these three stages: reception, transduction, and responses. Now in this reception, binding of this epinephrine into this G protein linked receptor. Now after that the transduction will occur. Actually, what is transduction? Transduction is nothing but the modification or development of the protein. So from one protein it will get converted into the another protein. From one protein again get converted into the another protein. Means one protein will activate another protein, one protein will activate another protein, and so on. And finally we will get the respective protein or the protein which we want for our response, that will be finally produced. And in the reception, only the receptor level action will occur. Means that signaling molecule will bind to a receptor. It occurs in our reception. Now in this transduction, the active G protein will get converted into the active G protein 10^2 molecule, and the inactive adenylyl cyclase will get converted into the active adenylyl cyclase. Next process will be ATP will get formed into the cyclic AMP, and this inactivate protein kinase A is responsible for production of active protein kinase A 10^4, and this inactive phosphorylase kinase is responsible for active phosphoryl kinase of 10^5, and again this inactive glycogen phosphorylase is responsible for active glycogen phosphorylase 10^6. And in response, whatever the response we are expecting, whatever the action we are expecting, so it occurs in the response. The glycogen will get converted into the glucose 1-phosphate, 10^8 molecules. So this is our final product which we are expecting from the whole cell transduction, for the whole cell communication from reception to the response. So in this fashion, the final product is glucose 1 phosphate. So in this fashion, cytoplasmic response will occur in our body, in our cell regularly. Other pathways, nuclear response. Many signaling pathways regulate the synthesis of enzymes or other proteins, usually by turning genes on or off in the nucleus. So we are turning the genes on or off in the nucleus, especially in the gene expression process. The final activated molecules in the signaling pathway may function as a transcription factor. This transcription process is responsible for the activation of typical steroid in our body. It may be estrogen, it may be progesterone or testosterone or ACTH or our thyroid hormone, whatever it may be. So the transcription process is mandatory for the further proliferation of that process. Now here you can see, here the growth factor is, it is one of the hormone which is required for our body growth. Here in reception process, the growth factor will bind with your respective receptor, means that growth hormone, GH hormone, will bind to your respective receptor, and that phosphorylation cascade is again responsible for transduction process, means one protein is responsible for development of the another protein, and another protein is responsible for activation of another protein, and likewise one protein will produce the another protein and one protein will activate the production of another protein. So finally what will happen here, the inactive transcription factor will bind with the transcription factor, and this transcription factor will go under the process of phosphorylation. You can see here the P molecule has been attached, so it will phosphorylate, and due to the phosphorylation it will leads into the gene expression. So the genes, the DNA molecule will bind to it and the gene expression will occur, and that gene expression leads into the formation of mRNA, and that mRNA is responsible for production of new protein inside the cell, and which leads into the final response of our process, means which leads into the final expected response, for example growth of our body, which occurs due to this growth hormone. So in this fashion, this growth hormone is having effect in our body. Fine tuning of the response. Multi-step pathway have two important benefits: amplifying the signals and thus the response, and contributing to the specificity of the response. Signal amplification. Enzyme cascades amplify the cell's response to signals. At each step, the number of activated products is much greater than in the preceding step. The specificity of cell signaling. Different kinds of cell have different collections of proteins. You can see the various cells are having various types of proteins, various types of signaling proteins, various types of the receptor proteins which are available at the various cells for various neurotransmitters, for various types of enzymes, for various types of the autocoids. They are having the various specific types of signaling proteins. So these different proteins allow cells to detect and respond to the different signals. For example, in case of the beta receptors, beta adrenergic receptor will take the specific noradrenaline. So noradrenaline will bind with the beta or alpha receptor. Again in that beta, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3 and alpha, alpha 1, alpha 2. Means for one neurotransmitter there are 5 types of receptors are available. Now again in case of the dopamine, same thing. There are D1, D2, D3, D4, D5. 5 types of specific receptors are available, and each receptor is responsible for different actions. So that's why again in case of the histamine, if you see H1, H2, H3, there are 3 receptors are available. Means one receptor is responsible for one different actions. That's why the different proteins are allow cells to detect and respond to the different signals. Even the same signal can give the different effects in cells. For example, If the noradrenaline will bind to the beta 2 receptor, it will show different actions, and beta 1 receptor it will show the different action. Means by binding the beta 1 receptor, it will show increase the heart action, and by binding with the beta 2 receptor, that noradrenaline will show the constriction process or contraction process in smooth muscles of the respiratory tract. So this always happens in our body. Pathways branching and crosstalk further help the cell coordinate incoming signals. Now here you can see this is the signaling molecule, and it will bind to the receptor, and in the relay molecules we will get the one response. So it is an example of pathway leads to a single response. So it is a straightforward reaction. So it will bind to the one receptor, and we will get the one response. In another reaction of pathway branches lead to the two response. When one signaling molecule will bind to the one receptor, and you will get two types of responses. So two responses will get on two different organs. For example, recently I discussed with you, one reaction will get on heart, means increase in heart rate. Another reaction will get on your respiratory tract, means constriction of your respiratory tract. In response for cell C, crosstalk occurs between two pathways. Means when the signaling molecule will bind to one receptor and another molecule will bind to the another receptor, but the ultimate effect will be same. The activation or inhibition will be the same. So response will be the same, means it will be the combined effect. By both the ways we are getting the combined effect. Means here it is crosstalk information, crosstalk reaction or crosstalk action we are getting. So in response 5, in cell D, different receptor leads to the different responses. So in this fashion, the different types of receptors will give you the different responses. So in this fashion, we are come across with the various types of responses occurs between the signal molecule and the respective receptors. Signal efficiency, the scaffolding proteins and signaling complexes. Scaffolding proteins are larger relay proteins to which other relay proteins are attached. Scaffolding proteins can increase the signal transduction efficiency by grouping together different proteins involved in the same pathway. In some cases, scaffolding proteins may also help activate some of the relay proteins. Now here you can see this is the signaling molecule and which has been bind with this receptor, and this is the scaffolding protein which has been joined by these 3 protein kinases. So this 3 protein has joined with this main scaffolding protein. Termination of signal. Signal response is terminated quickly by reversal of ligand binding. Inactivation mechanisms are as essential aspects of cell signaling. Unbound receptors revert to the inactive states. Now here you can see signal molecules will bind to the receptor, the reception has occurred, and the relay molecules means transduction occurs, means one protein will develop or transform into the another protein. Finally this is required protein, and we are getting the response, means activation of cellular response. Now so students, in this fashion we have discussed this today's lecture on cell signaling or cell communication with each other. So thanks a lot for hearing me. So this much is sufficient for today. Bye.